Well, this is something new for the channel, Let's Read. And in today's story, it's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Resurge Chapter 2 by Spooky Electronics. Now, as you may recall, Chapter 1 was already printed in video format. But at this point, I think that Spooky just wants to get the series over with as soon as possible, rather than just, have to go through video and editing all that extra stuff and gotcha and all that stuff. It just takes too much time. This is my theory as to what Spooky's reasoning is. Just wants to get the video out in their own time, while they're still alive. That would be preferable rather than dying with episode 3 halfway in production. That's hyperbole, but that's the explanation. Spooky will be releasing an official audiobook version on their own channel, but they gave me permission to just do it on my own channel here and just give you the basic coverall. Mine will not be professional, it'll be freaking like amateur at best, but I'm just trying to get the video out at some point so that Spooky is happy. I'll also try to be professional. I won't cut out every single thing, but if I like a phone call or something, of course, I'm going to take that up for it. But anyway, I'm just giving up the overall stuff. Here is my reading of Yu-Gi-Oh! Resurge Chapter 2, Courage to Change. The summary is that Dahlia finds herself in Wheeler Academy. We will meet some new characters here, and Dahlia experiences her first duel of the school year against one of her teachers? What? That'll be interesting. I predict a Crowler style. Probably not. Anyway, here is the full cover. You can check out the thing on your own time. Of course, on Spooky's channel, which I will be linking in the description below. Well, not the YouTube channel, this archive of your own channel thing that I've never heard of until Spooky linked it to me. I was expecting like Wattpad or something. Oh, they also have a Tales of the Dragonverse chapter up. So, you can check that on your own time too. I'll link Spooky's archive channel, of course. Just to be clear. And I'll probably check out Tales at some point. Anyway, let's get to the main story, shall we? Enough dilly-dallying, shilly-shallying. The bright and sunny courtyard of Wheeler Academy buzzed with excitement of a new school year. Dahlia stood beside Quinn, taking in the sight of the academy that once upon a time she had only dreamed of attempting before. Was that a nightmare? I can never remember. Dreams are kind of fishy like that, Ever had a dream about being eaten by a Tyrannosaurus? It might be something like that. There are Tyrannosaurus, but I'm going off of it. Dahlia began, when I pictured Wheeler Academy in my head, I thought it'd be more grand. Dahlia observed the very modest location, looking like a community college rather than a prestigious dual academy. Quinn adjusted his glasses and glanced up. Well, I mean, Joey said he wanted to fix all of Kaiba's mistakes when making this academy. Only makes sense, right? I'd comment, but also... Kaiba did build his dual academy next to an active volcano, so we can't say that he was 100% logic. Dahlia chuckled, her eyes darting all over the place, not knowing where to settle. Well, I suppose you're right. Alright, Quinny. Geronimo! With that, the two stepped forward into the school grounds. As they passed the staircase, Dahlia caught the sight of a black-haired woman leaning against the wall, a cigarette dangling from her fingers, and wisps of smoke were gently coming off of it. The woman, Sasha Nightshade, exhaled a plume of smoke and muttered something to herself, only to be interrupted very loudly, very Brooklyn-ish. Oi! What do you think you're doing? There stood a man who looked slightly similar to Joey Wheeler, but nah, it was just his cousin, Jesse Wheeler, scarred with the mark of the facility on his face, a slightly less pronounced chin. He also looked like he was been through the ringer, much like his cousin. Oh, I swear half this is me slurring my words. After he just got off of his duel with Tetsu Trudge as well. No, Doke isn't canon, of course. Smoking? Smoking. Sasha glanced unbothered. What does it look like? Doing taxes? Folding laundry? Making a martini? Though God, I wish I could go for a martini right now. Lord knows I'll need booze to make it to this day. The sound of her voice made it clear she had been through this too many times. Jesse's lips twitched, slightly unsure whether to be amused or feel sad for his colleague. Them first day jitters got you down? Sasha rolled her eyes, and took another inhalation of her cigarette, as if trying to stomach the out-of-nowhere therapy session from the loud-mouthed Brooklynette. The new students are always the hardest to work with. You always gotta ask them up first. But figure them out. It's tiring. Oh, sorry. Assess them up first. You can't write like that and not expect me to read assing up. What? It's your fault I can't read. How dare you, Spooky! Jessie smiled softly. Sheesh, Sash. I know what you... Sounds like you're ready to retire or something. Nah, Sasha replied, snubbing her cigarette against the brick wall behind her. She was weary, not ready to hang up the hat yet. That's just depression talking. I'm taking my meds every day, but it gnaws at me. And ever since that day, it feels like it's gotten hungrier. A shadowy figure from that day reappeared in her mind. A hazy figure rubbed out by the cigarettes. She spoke like a woman who wished to forget, but refused to because... You're still reeling from... Jessie broke in. The loss of someone important to me due to some ancient magic? Yeah. Sasha stared down at the ground, kicking a nearby petal against an iron door in front of her, leading to a strange closet. A storage closet. Not hard to feel like a useless sack of shit every day. When you feel like I could have helped her, you know? And she's gotten stuck in a coma, so she's as good as dead. Sasha pulled out a wallet and inside a picture of her and Maya Evans. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. Era of dueling callback. They're not the same universe, but they're similar. It's the same story. Anyway, Sasha took her flash out of her purse and took a swig. The picture now felt as heavy as a dumbbell in her hands, or about as heavy as the alcohol would hit later in the day. Jessie didn't need her to elaborate. He and the other teachers understood what that day meant, and all that happened on that day. Instead of prying, he offered a gentle nudge. Well, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but replaying that stuff in your heads is only gonna make you go down a deeper rabbit hole. Or make you gone deeper down that rabbit hole. Last time I checked, your name isn't Alice, so I don't want to see you like that. And neither does my cousin or his sister. You feel me? Well, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but replaying that stuff in your head, it's only gonna make you feel like, oh, I just read that line. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna scroll down a bit more. For the first time that day, Sasha felt a smile tugging at her lips. Yes, I feel you, Professor Wheeler. The Wheeler's enthusiasm was infectious, and even though a lot of what he said sounded like rambling, it somehow hit no wonder he was such a well-loved teacher. I can't read. Look, I'll feel fine eventually, alright? Don't worry about me. Just part of the standard cycle of bullshit in my brain. It'll pass, then come, then pass, come, back and forth, like the world's worst ocean. The waves just keep changing again and again. And quite frankly, Sasha thought, someday she'd rather just drown the ocean. Sometimes she felt like an old sea lion trying to reach the surface for air. Crawling in my skin. No, it's not meant that way, but, sometimes you read that stuff and can't help but think it in your mind, Anyway. Don't mean I have to worry. Now come on, my cousin said she's calling for a teacher meeting before the fourth bell, so let's get out of here pronto, Jessie replied, not missing a beat. He did not want to leave any room for Sasha's thoughts to take her elsewhere, especially this early in the day. Right behind you, Sasha said, straightening on her jacket and slinging her purse over her shoulder, as the two walked up the stairs overhead on a small bridge overhanging the ground on the school that stood Blake. Hanging above the ground floor of the school stood Blake. There. Her eyes scanned the area with disdain, almost like a security camera. But if she was one, her lens would have no doubt have shattered. I can't read. The brightness of the school grounds were almost offensive to her senses, and nothing short of an alien to her, especially when compared to the cold efficiency of the underground or her father's laboratories. Her gaze locked onto a group of female students, seniors clearly, laughing and gossiping. They were dressed like typical Japanese gyaru. I'm not Japanese. And all the colors of their outfits overwhelmed Blake's mind. She took a long, deep sigh. This place is brighter than I'm used to, she muttered to herself. There's no sign of intelligent life anywhere. I stuttered on. There's no sign of There's no sign of intelligent life anywhere. Every time I read that, I think of the meme, so my brain crosswires. Also, that meme has aged extremely well. Before she could continue, a chipper voice derailed her head of thought. It was as loud as a jaybird's call. "Excuse me, ma'am!" Blake looked over and saw a student with red hair and glasses with matching red and black attire. The boy's grin resembled that of a half-oval, and was as bright as the sun. Disgusting. The boy radiated enthusiasm like an overeager puppy. Blake could only bluntly reply with, "My statement remains correct." Ariel's head turned to the side as she raised an eyebrow, bewildered by Blake's statement. Now the puppy was curious. "What statement?" she replied with eager curiosity. "Forget it. Why are you bothering me?" Blake asked. Her tone clicked as if she was trying to tell the puppy to shoo off. It's Azrael, not Ariel. Azrael, wholly oblivious to Blake's tone, carried on. "Oh, well, you see, you looked a little lost, and my team and I have been looking around here for a hot minute, so we could help show you around the campus." Blake raised an eyebrow. "I studied the blueprints and schematics of this complex front to back. I'll be fine," she replied with blunt certainty that would be unmistakable to most, but Azrael found it was not most. For he continued undeterred. "I mean, studying is good and all, but actually being able to see is a whole new world. Seeing is believing, after all. I'm blind, you blatant bloke." Now that'd be a twist. Blake regretted this whole... I'm just gonna use this. Blake regretted wasting her breath. She could tell that this was getting nowhere. "There are plenty of things in life you can believe without seeing," she shot back. "Like the fact this conversation is a waste of my time." To Azrael, however, Blake's statement went in one ear and out the other. His brain was too busy trying to win her over. To him, this was a game of catch, and the ball was in his court now. Unfortunately for him, they were playing hockey. That's true, but come on! This will be fun! It could help get that doom and gloom off your face. You look like you haven't smiled in years. What's a smile? Blake's lips twitched with some emotion that was far removed from amusement. "Joy is an emotion I am programmed not to feel," she mechanically responded. "Programmed?" This puzzled Azrael even more. His eyes lit up with curiosity like fireworks. "Are you a robot or something? Beep boop bop," he said while moving his arms and legs in robotic movements, almost like his own juvenile version of the robot. Blake's eyes narrowed. "Very amusing. Can't you tell by the expression on my face?" she asked coldly while curling a finger towards herself. As they spoke, another figure approached. Elias Woods. Walk with Elias, everyone. A young man in a full tuxedo with black hair and a modern quiff style. It was clear that his mom dressed him for today. His mere aura felt calm and commanding. As he stepped forward with a faint "Azrael," he said gently, What seems to be the matter here?" My Blake and this guy are gonna sound exactly the same. "Oh, nothing's the matter, Cap," Azrael said cheerfully to a seemingly long-time friend. "I was just asking this lady if she needed help being shown around the campus is all." Elias glanced at Blake, noted her rigid posture and unamused glare. He could tell Azrael was barking up the wrong tree. "Again!" I feel like this lady isn't worth your time, and it would be better spent accommodating the students who can handle your personality," he said, ever the diplomat. Bleh. "She seems like a lady who likes to keep to herself. I think I saw a lady in pink all arriving just at the school just now. You can go and assist her. Sound fair?" Azrael gasped with joy, almost as if being handed a new toy on Christmas Day. The past 5 minutes had left his mind in the instant. "Another friend to make! On it! See you later, friend! I'm gonna go talk to a newer friend!" Azrael dashed off like a cartoon character would. All that was missing was an Azrael-shaped smoke cloud and cartoony sound effects. Funnily enough, that's actually a reference. Spooky didn't show me much of Resurge Chapter 2 while it was in development, but they were working hard on that animation being very Scooby-Doo-ish, shall you say, and it took forever. And it was just for that one scene. Spooky did not make this chapter because they wanted to half-ass Resurge. It's because they're too much of a perfectionist and wanted to make sure that every single minute detail was perfect, and knew that they weren't going to work on Resurge the rest of their life. And if they did, there's no way every single episode would be done before they were dead and buried. So at least this way with the writing format, it's done in some form. Anyway, enough of the background information. Blake quietly relieved that the relieving headache was gone, expressed a form of relief in her own way, the Blakey way. For the record, we are not friends, she quietly corrected the energetic redhead who was long since left earshot. Elias chuckled, extending a hand. My apologies, Azrael. My apologies for Azrael. He is as friendly as can be, but is not always appreciated by everyone. It is hard for him to hear no. Or it's hard to tell him no. Blake scoffed at the notion, discouraging the man who had leagues of experience in that regard. I can tell. How about this instead? Elias offered. Welcome to Wheeler Academy. I look forward to our opportunity to face off. Blake eyed his hand for a moment. She had seen the manager back in the underground conduct many deals this way, always ending it off with a firm handshake, but nothing written out, so he could double cross the poor sap he made a deal with. Now it was her turn. After all, even if he was more tolerable, he was still another imperfect to deal with. Blake grabbed his hand and firmly shook it. Strong grip. Excellent, Elias remarked, a faint smile on his face. You seem like someone actually worth paying attention to here. My initial observation has proven to be false, Blake robotically responded, almost as if to say that she was saving Elias into her database. Oh, I wouldn't knock Azrael at that easily. Sure, he can be adult, but he is no slouch when it comes to dueling. It is his second half of his brain tunes out the moment a duel begins and shuts off the moment it ends. Sorry, the second half of his brain turns on the moment a duel begins and shuts off the moment it ends. Please wait for Spooky's official audiobook. This is crap. This is crap. Just wait for the book whenever it comes out. Or read on your own time, please. I mean, this is... How do you know to get the book for yourself? The audiobook is atrocious. Anyway, Blake couldn't believe that for a second. The logic did not add up. Yet, she could tell that he was completely genuine. If so, what was up with that puppy? I see. Not the scientific facilities or how that could work, but I understand regardless. Not the scientific fallacies. Maybe I should delete my entire channel. Elias smiled faintly. You really are the technical and observant, he pointed out. If there is someone out there who ever threatens the possibility of surpassing me, I must realize it before it happens and adjust accordingly, or face the consequences. Blake stayed, reminded what her father taught her since she could first remember. Everything prior to him was blurry or non-existent. All she could ever recall are smudges of blue and pink talking to her, and a slim blue dragon with an ear-splitting roar, but wasn't strong enough to break the sound barrier. I get the reference, I'm just smiling because of that. Ah, the competitive type, Elias commented, bringing Blake back to the real world. You could say that, a microscopic, a big speck in her mouth curling upwards into something ever so slightly resembling a smile. But it was not a laugh, so it did not fail the try not to laugh challenge. You can't get me! God, imagine Blake doing a try not to laugh challenge. God. April Fool's Day suggested Spooky there. Elsewhere, Azrael had just eagerly pushed a tanned woman with blonde hair in a pink dress into the school's library. The woman, Elena, looked around. The library was very simplistic. It had desks lined up with computers and countless amounts of books available. She turned when the strange red-haired kid who kidnapped her away to this different part of the campus, speaking again. The library here has all sorts of amazing books about duel history, card design, deck building theory, duel bot AI algorithms, dual disc modding. Admittedly, there are kind of outdated duel pads nowadays, but there's still so much more. One day I hope to read them all, Azrael exclaimed excitedly. Look, here's one on how MST negates! And you! Here's one on Firewall Dragon and you! And here's one on what to expect when you're waiting 20 turns for Final Countdown to resolve. And here's my favorite one, Exodia, the Forbidden One, Part 1 in a 5-part series. Elena had an amused smile on her face. That's amazing! A thought came to mind. It was a senior. Then surely he knew plenty about the school. So I gotta ask, who's your favorite teacher here? Oh, it's gotta be Sasha, Azrael loudly proclaimed instinctively, forgetting he was in a library until he heard the connubially of shh. Sasha? No professor or whatever? A puzzled Alana asked. Azrael grinned, clearly beaming. She doesn't like to be called that for some reason. She is the most unprofessional professor I've ever seen. She is the Schrodinger's cat of the school. It was almost as if she was talking about Santa Claus. I'm sorry. It was almost as if he was talking about Santa Claus. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas! Alana went on. What does she teach? She teaches the basic advanced She teaches basic and advanced deck building, Azrael answered. Oh man, just one class from her and I changed like 9 things about my deck. Turns out MST doesn't negate. That book lied to me! No wonder it was in the non-fiction section. And I started performing better than almost instantly. She doesn't look like it, but she's very wise and intelligent, even if, admittedly, she doesn't take her job that seriously. Alana could make that out very well enough based on how casual this Sasha sounded. She'd be an interesting one for sure. I see. Well, as long as she can connect with students, I don't see the issue, Alana said, looked at a book. Then looked at a board, and saw one thing on the schedule, written in all caps in red Sharpie, and circled into hell and back again. Lancer Tournament! Alana was puzzled to say the least. The Lancers were a military unit, right? Why would they be hosting a tournament? And why would the Duel Academy have it on their schedule? She needed to know more. Lancer Tournament? What's that? Wait a minute, you haven't heard about the Lancer Tournament? Oh, allow me! Azrael inhaled deeply. So basically, but his balloon of enthusiasm was shortly popped by a voice that cut through the conversation like a blade. It's a tournament to help indoctrinate people into the military. A slim boy with feminine features replied. He had spiky hair with shaved sides and was wearing a purple and white colored attire, including a sleeveless vest. He looked gray and lifeless, and his irises were almost nowhere to be found. Xander, that's gonna be the most Xander, that has to be the most incorrect oversimplification. And Azrael scolded, pouted to his purple-haired colleague. You gonna tell me I'm wrong? The entire purpose of the tournament is to get more Lancers, because they're running out of cannon fodder, Xander said bluntly back, saying as if he had a chip on his shoulder. Azrael was flabbergasted at what he was hearing. For the first time, Azrael's voice sounded more melancholic. I don't know if I like the way you're talking about it. No. Why don't you explain it then, Xander? He pondered. It's funny how this Lancer tournament thing's being brought up meanwhile I'm doing Unleashed Road, like, towards the end of the Lancer tournament. Funny timing. Because I don't see the point in which you could take up any of this person's mourning. You get it to be so excited about everything that you take forever to get to the point, Xander said, clearly unfazed by having to bust Azrael's bubble, as if he was getting used to this whole keeping this airhead grounded. Do I really do that? Do I really do that? Azra asked, tears welling up in his eyes. Hey, don't sweat it, and wipe away those tears. I can hear you internally sobbing, Xander gently said, sensing the dam was about to give way. Azrael wiped away the tears. Sorry, he was sheepish to explain himself. Xander cut him off with some well-timed words of encouragement, or at least his own brand of it. You can get emotional, I know, but I'm here to bring you back from reality from time to time. Balloons are awesome until you get too many and start floating away into the sky with no way of coming back down, other than plummeting to death or a grave injury. Someone show this guy Up. Not just because of the balloon thing, but also because it's a great movie. Azrael nodded, seeing the deeper meaning despite the rather bleak turn Xander's advice took. You know, you always know exactly what to say, Xander. Xander turned his attention to Alana, greeting the girl with a sharp smile, only second to Azrael's. Anyway, nice to meet you. My name's Xander Jenkins. Xander proceeded to hold out his hand, and he held it with his back turned to Elena. So wait, he was like this, and then did this. You jerk. At least look someone in the eyes when you're frickin', handshaking offering. Elena was a bit confused. She started stopping when she realized where this was going on. The boy in front of her was blind. Oh. Well, I'm a jackass. I made the comment earlier about Blake being blind, and this guy's blind. I remember Spooky told me that one, probably, and I'm just an idiot and an asshole. Great. Ugh. It's that old cliche, the blind ones can see the best of the bull crap. Xander, with only a minute in breaking his charisma, tried to salvage this embarrassing greeting. I did the thing again, didn't I? He quipped, only to slightly missing a beat. Xander then turned around the right way and proceeded to shake Elena's hand. Azrael smiled and let out a small chuckle out over what transpired. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say something. Name's Xander Jenkins. Can't you tell I'm blind as a bat? He continued. This raised a very valid question for Elena, which she asked as quickly as it came to her. Oh, well then, how do you duel in that case? Well, how about we duel right now and I show you, and you'll see yourself, gorgeous. Xander said with a sly grin, almost like flirting came to him as naturally as breathing. I was gonna make a comment, but then I kind of countered myself in my own head. So, Alana raised her eyebrow intrigued. How do you know I'm gorgeous if you're blind? I can tell just by your voice, Xander responded without skipping a beat. This man has never seen a VTuber. And never will see a VTuber. Elena blushed a bit from the sudden flirtation. That came unexpectedly. Azrael giggled and couldn't help but chime in. Oh yeah, Xander likes to flirt with everyone. Especially me. Seriously, you have no idea. I'm starting to consider a restraining order. Elena chuckled. I see. The school bell chimed, signaling the start of the day. Azrael and Elena exchanged a glance. The intercom cackled to life as to Xander and Azrael. Familiar voice rang out through the mic. Will all students please report to the courtyard? The mellow, low, energetic voice of Sasha was unmistakable. Ah, that's their cue, Xander said. Come on, Azzy, let's see what Sasha wants. Soon inside the academy's sunlit courtyard, clusters of students milled about, their dual pads gleaming in the bright light. Dahlia and Quinn found themselves amongst the crowd, curiosity mingling with nerves. Sasha strode into the stage, causing the murmurs of the students to die down. All right. Welcome all new students to Wheeler Academy. Do I even need to say the rest? You all know why you're here, what you came to do, and what you want to do. So raise a hand if you want me to cut this shit and get right to the point. Sasha sounded really disinterested as she raised a hand, a deadpan look on her face as if she asking whatever deity out there, why do you always have to do this to me? Why do I always have to be the one doing this? All the students raised their hand. Are you gonna make us dual-tainers? One of the students asked, his voice like nails on a chalkboard to Sasha's ears. I threw that voice out at random, but it kind of fits. That's banned. More, Sasha caused herself. Students. As I'm not sure the rest of you are well aware, now, let's deal. As I'm sure the rest of you are well aware. Now here's the deal. Every year, 4 students get to duel with the head staff of the academy. Let me introduce the other 3 to you right now. First up is Professor Wheeler. Jesse turned to Jesse Wheeler, walked out smiling. Is that Joey Wheeler? One student whispered to another. No, that's his cousin, Jesse Wheeler. Another whispered back. That's right, I'm Jesse Wheeler, your head dueling instructor for the year. So in my class is where you're going to be doing all the duels, Jessie explained with excitement. Sasha raised her fist to her lips and cleared her throat. I'm Sasha Nightshade, the basic and advanced deck building teacher. Now then, introducing our headmaster and headmistress. Joey Wheeler soon joined them, flanked by Serenity Wheeler. The students cheered as Joey stepped forward with a bright grin. Sasha's eyes scanned the students, and her lips pursed as she saw Dahlia in the crowd, recognizing her, and recognizing that uncertain look. She seems very uncertain. I wonder why. Guess I'll find out soon, Sasha thought to herself. Hey there, young students! Joey's voice carried easily over the crowd. Welcome to the Duel Academy! Now, to give you the quick rundown, unlike the rich boys at Koiba and Astos, we don't want to promote any gang warfare at our academy. So instead of differently colored dorms, we gotta have a team system. All you split into teams of 4, randomly selected of course. That way you can work with each other through each other's strengths and weaknesses, and learn properly how to get along as a team. It'll help judge your fellow students by their dueling skills, not by the color of their jackets. And of course, there is a point system to keep track of every team. The more wins a team gets, the higher on the leaderboard they go. And by the end of the year, the top teams will receive a small prize. For now though, thank you for coming to Duel Wheeler Academy. Your list of teammates will be sent to your duel pad in and out. For now, let the teachers' duels begin! It sounded like rambling, but he had his students hooked with every word. The murmur and excitement soon turned into cheers. Sasha then raised her hand to silence them, and jabbed a finger in the direction of Dahlia. I want her. Can we just establish that Sasha did the when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut? Also, kind of like Wheeler's way of explaining how this is not going to be some bias based off jackets. It's teen. This makes sense, is my point. Anyway, back to the story. Dahlia froze, eyes wide in shock as she curled a finger towards herself. Me? Yes, you, Sasha replied bluntly. Now get over here, young lady. Dahlia stepped forward, clutching her dual pad nervously as she activated. My name is Dahlia. Stop. Sasha broke in. Huh? Dahlia asked, puzzled. Sasha waved her hand dismissively, eyeing the girl with an expression that told her years of experience. Kid, I don't care what your last name is. I don't care who your family is. I don't care where you come from. All I know is your name and who you are as duelist, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I'm not going to remember you by the time you leave this academy, and you probably won't remember me. Hell, we probably aren't going to be friends, but be damn sure I'm going to push you to be your best, just like because Jessie is a softie. Oi! Jessie called out. Sorry, just the sheer irony came over me. I don't care what your last name is. Oh, if only you didn't stop her. If only. But that was what hell will put down. Right. Let's duel, Dahlia swallowed hard. Let the games begin, Sasha said, simply activating her duel pad. Turn 1. Dahlia life points 4,000. Cards in hand, 5. Dahlia stared down at her duel pad, her fingers trembling as she drew her opening hand. The holographic field lit up between them, and Dahlia could feel every pair of eyes in the courtyard focused on her. All right, Dahlia said nervously. I draw my starting hand. She glanced at her cards, her mind racing to remember the strategies she'd been forced to practice. I think practice is spelled wrong. But her focus was being gnawed at by the eyes of the crowd, and her being forced to use a deck she hated on the first day of the academy. All this made her unsure of how to proceed. Finally, she played her first card. I'll start with the field spell. Dark Castle of Soul Ruin. A hologram of a shadowy fortress materialized behind her, its ominous towers reaching to the sky. The area above them created darker, as if a dark shadow casted it over them. Then I summoned Soul Ruin Dark Sage. 100 attack, 1900 defense. A small elven woman in black and blue sage robes appeared in front of her. When she's summoned, I get to tribute a Soul Ruin monster in my deck. So I'll tribute, she hesitated, scanning her deck. Templar Scout! And with his effect, since he was tributed, I can add a Soul Ruin monster from my deck to my hand. I'll pick Soul Ruin Nightmare Pegasus! Sasha watched silently, her expression unreadable. What's up with her? A duelist would know her strategies in the deck in and out. Why is she struggling with this? She thought. Dahlia continued, setting a card face down on her duel pad. I set one card face down, and pass my turn. Something is for sure wrong here. This isn't a duelist trying to bait me into a face down. This is her being unsure of what her own deck is. Being unsure what to do with her own deck. Her train of thought continued. She raised an eyebrow and drew her card. Might move. Sasha's voice was steady without a trace of doubt. I'll begin with the continuous spell Pinpoint Landing. A holographic card appeared to her side of the field. Then I summoned... I hate you, Spooky. Magical Fullback Rabbit. 1900 attack, 1300 defense. And with his effect, when he summoned, it gained 600 attack point boost. The holographic rabbit leapt to the field. It started its stats adjusting as its attack points rose. Its sleek violet flame was bustling with crimson spikes. Its angular face was frozen with a wicked grin. The piercing eyes glowed beneath a jagged crown. Sasha gestured toward Dahlia's monsters. Now, Fullback Rabbit, hop on in and attack her Sage! The rabbit lunged forward, crossing into Soul Ruin Dark Sage with a football tackle. The Sage let out a craneful pie. Uh-oh. Ah! Dahlia flinched as her life points dropped. 14,000 minus 2,400 equals 1,600. Well, it makes sense. Your monster only had 100 attack points. Oop. Sasha continued without hesitation. Now I use Fullback Rabbit's ability by shuffling it back into my deck. Apologies, I took a message that took priority. Anyway, I'm just going to continue at the top of the page. Sasha continued without hesitation. Now I use Fullback Rabbit's ability. By shuffling it into my deck after he's destroyed a monster, I get to summon another Magical monster from my hand. Fly, Magical Skydiver! A new monster materialized. Its muscular frame encased a violent crimson and silver body. Angular wings jut from its back, their edges sharp and deadly, while green and cyan emitted from among its sleek, aerodynamic body. Its helmeted face was a fusion of sharp lines and vivid colors. The reflective surface adorned with streaks of red and green and blue that blurred as it moved. Huh? A monster with 3,000 attack points like that? Dahlia yelled out in total shock. Oh, now, with a monster summoned from the hand, Pinpoint Landing will let me draw another card. Blake said from the sideline. Pinpoint Landing will let her draw another card, Blake said from the sidelines as if she observed the duel, as Azrael then rushed to her side, earning a glare from the edgy girl. Take the hint! At this point, Blake should just come out and say, get away from me! Oh, that's not everything. You see, since Dahlia doesn't control a monster, the effective Fullback Rabbit has to summon Skydiver into defense mode, so Dahlia's still in the game, Azrael eagerly explained. Sasha held out her hand. Skydiver's ability activates. He temporarily gains another 800 attack point boost. Then I get to add a Magical monster from my deck to my hand. I pick Knockout Quarterback. I end my turn. This is like a football deck. Huh. Funny. Anyway, good thing it's on a defense mode. Dahlia would lose. There's no argument. But the owl has to summon defense mode as she controls nothing. That's a good balancing mechanic. Good work there, Spooky. Anyway, it's turn 3 and Dahlia's turn. She has 1,600 life points remaining. Your cards in hand are 3, then +1 for drawing. Dahlia swallowed hard as she drew her card. Draw. Okay, since I control no monsters, I special summon Nightmare Pegasus. Then since I control a Soul Ruin monster, I can special summon the Tuner monster, Soul Ruin Bard Martyr from my hand. The two monsters appeared on her field, then spectral forms glowing with a faint light. Your fire is burning, but not as bright as it should be, Sasha bluntly stated. Her arms crossed as her monster hovered beside her. What are you going on about? Dahlia asked in frustration. She hesitated only for a moment before continuing. I tune Pegasus and Bard! I synchro summon level 6 Soul Ruin Blade Vindicator! 2,500 attack, 2,000 defense. Her new ace monster rose from the ground, his obsidian armor etched with neon blue veins that pulsated with raw power. The blade he wielded was as fearsome as his bearer, a massive glowing weapon shrouded in arcs of violet lightning. The horned helm crowned its form. His cape billowed like a shadowy extension of himself. Sasha's voice cut through Dahlia's moment of triumph like a hot knife through butter. Mistake, she scoffed. Dahlia froze. Wait, what? Your field spell, Sasha explained. It lets you, or a soul ruin monster, perform something the archetype calls a sacrifice synchro summon. It lets you attribute a soul ruin tuner and non-tuner monster to summon a synchro monster from an extra deck whose level equals the combined level of the attributed monsters, and being attributed would trigger both Pegasus and Bard's ability. Pegasus would have let the synchro summon monster be able to attack directly, at the cost of inflicting half the battle damage to me. The Bard Bard would have let you draw a card. In addition, your field spell would have given your monster extra 200 attack points for each monster attributed this turn. By neglecting to use your field spell, you missed out on the full power of your deck.
Damn!
So the Soul Ruin monsters tribute for their synchro summons and stuff like that. They have to do it that way. It's sort of, I guess if you want to use a real life example, would be like how Dark Worlds are via discarding and sending to graveyard are different. That's the best explanation that comes to mind, or just like everything has to count as a tribute for them. I guess that's the best way to explain it. But I like that kind of gimmick. I think it's cool. And man, Dahlia, screw the pooch. But hey, when you're learning a new deck, sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. Anyway, Dahlia's face darkened in realization set in. I set 2 cards face down and end my turn. Azrael giggled, and Dahlia couldn't help but glare at the boy. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling up for a second. We know that the monster that Sasha summoned had 3,000 attack points. We have no idea what the defense points are, but we do know that Dahlia's monster has 2,500 attack points. So, I mean, she could have attacked it, but maybe the defense points were too high. It could be 3,000, 3,000. We don't know. I'm just saying that she might have misplayed the match. Anyway, oop. Ah! Technical difficulties! Go away! I'm trying to read the chapter! Ah! You asked for this, Spooky. You frickin' asked for this. Oh, I'm gonna be a laughing stock. See what I mean, Elena? See what I mean, Elena? Even if she doesn't seem interested, her knowledge of the game is as vast as ever, eagerly explained to the blonde. I can see that. I can see that. She's amazing, Alana smiled brightly. It's Sasha's turn. Her life points are 4,000. She has 5 cards in hand, and then with a +1 draw, she has 6. Then it's my turn. I draw. Now, I activate continue spell card, Scrimmagical Cheerleader, Ashley. Next, I summon Scrimmagical Devil Sprinter. When he's summoned, I have the attack points of your monster. The demonic football player threw a ball at Vindicator, which exploded in the knight's face and halved its attack points. In addition, Sprinter gains a 1,000 attack point boost. Now, Devil Sprinter, attack her Vindicator, Sasha commanded. Dahlia reacted quickly, almost on an instinct. Trap card open! Dimension Guardian! This card will clip onto my Vindicator, protecting him from being able to be destroyed. Sasha nodded slightly. So you realize my deck's strategy. Not bad. However, I have a trick up my sleeve as well. I activate the quick play spell card, Scrimmagical Pass! This card lets my Sprinter pass to another monster. Sprinter returns to my deck, and I get to summon a Scrimmagical monster from my hand. Come on out! Scrimmagical Knockback! Come out and out! Knockout Quarterbacker! And Quarterbacker's ability now activates. He gains a temporary energy attack point boost. Then I get to destroy a spell or trap you control. Be gone, Dimensional Guardian! Ah! Dahlia cried out. Now knockout Quarterbacker. Attack Vindicator. Shit! Yeah! Dahlia yelled as her monster tackled past Vindicator and hit her as well. Her monster being destroyed. Dahlia's life points 1,600 minus 1,250 puts her at 350. But Sasha was nowhere near finished. Activating Quarterbacker's ability. By shuffling into my deck, I get to bring out another monster from my hand. Center Jin, to the field! Since you control my no monsters, she has to go into defense mode. But when she's summoned along with temporary attack point boost, I get to add a Scrimmagical Continuous spell to my hand. Also, both Pinpoint Landing and Cheerleader activate. They share the same effect, letting me draw 1 card. So I draw 2 cards. Dahlia stared at Sasha's field, her thoughts racing like a Formula 1 driver. She's good. She knows the ins and outs of her deck like the back of her hand. And mine. As in, she knows the ins and outs in her deck. I added that line, I shouldn't. Skydiver swings in, Sasha declared. No! Dahlia reacted. Rising her hand to activate her trap card. I activate Draining Shield! To negate your attack and add Skydiver's attack points to my life points. Dahlia's life points are 350 plus 3,000 per 3350. Sasha smirked. Not bad, but I'm not done, she revealed with calm precision. Off of my pinpoint landing, I drew another Screw Magical Pass. Wait! Dahlia stammered. That card's not a once per turn! The only card in its archetype without a restriction, Sasha said coolly. Now I'll bench Skydiver, so I can have this monster run down the field. Screw Magical Juggernaut! A towering armored colossus thundered forward like a runaway locomotive. Its every step shaking the earth, clad in spikes, steel plating, and hissing with steam from the glowing exhaust ports. The monster was a fusion of machine and athlete, its horned helmet and glowing red visor radiating menace, while massive gauntlets clenched with power. You all ever see the Armored Titan from Attack on Titan? Just imagine that but in football gear. Wait, no. The Armored Titan, that was the foot... forget. Not the Colossal Titan, the armored one. There. Anyway, moving on. I got my things mixed up. Anyway, the towering armor... I heard that, sorry. Dahlia's eyes widened as she looked at her dual pad. Wait, its attack points are undetermined? Not for long, Sasha smirked. Juggernaut's attack points become question mark to 3,000. Oh no! Dahlia yelled out. Sasha smiled faintly. Juggernaut's attack is equal to the amount of Screw Magical monsters that attack this turn times 1,000. Let's just say he's about to run down the field and score the winning touchdown. And when he's summoned, his attack points double. Oh! And he also inflicts piercing damage. But that's not relevant when there's no monsters on your field. Juggernaut's attack points double from 3,000 to 6,000. Sasha's voice was calm, but final. Juggernaut! She snapped her fingers. Time for you to get the winning touchdown! The monster got into position and started sprinting towards Dahlia, letting out a battle cry. Dahlia looked at one final card in her hand, desperately. No! I have one final trick up my sleeve! I special summon Battle Fader from my hand to negate your attack and end the battle phase! An error sound blared from the dual pad. Wait, what? Oh right! One more thing I forgot to mention about my Juggernaut, Sasha said. Once he gets going, he can't be stopped. His attack is 4,000 or when his attack is 4,000 or higher, when he declares an attack, no effects can be activated until the attack concludes. Sure, Battle Fader? Might as well be a water boy. Astra giggled at Sasha's joke. Azrael giggled at Sasha's joke, causing Dahlia to glare at him. What the hell is his problem? He's been laughing at me this entire duel, Dahlia thought angrily. Good one, Sasha, Azrael said. Juggernaut, finish this off. Cannonball tackle! Sasha snapped her fingers. Dahlia screamed as she was tackled and her life points dropped to 0, falling onto her back. Life points from 3,350 minus 6,000 equal 0. Dahlia lay on her back, staring up at the sky, the faint holographic remains of Scrub Magical Juggernaut flickering out of existence above her. Her chest rose and fell heavily as reality of her loss set in. She winced and slowly pushed herself into a sitting position, brushing off the dust from her clothes. Ow! Dahlia muttered, rubbing her side. Sasha stood across from her, calm and unreadable. She deactivated her dual pad with a practiced motion, slipping it back into her pocket, her sharp gaze lingering on Dahlia, as she tilted her head slightly. She murmured. How interesting. Dahlia frowned and looked up at Sasha. Interesting? What do you mean? She asked, her voice tainted with frustration. Sasha crossed her arms, her voice blunt but not unkind. You and your deck. You're not in sync. What's that supposed to mean? A student broke in. Sasha leaned forward slightly as she eyed up Dahlia, her tone steady and matter-of-fact. It means she and her deck are actively opposing each other. It's like trying to push two magnets together. They just keep pushing each other away, no matter how much you try to force it, kid. Have you ever considered maybe changing your deck? Dahlia hesitated, her gaze dropping to the ground, her fingers fiddling with the hem of her jacket. I can't, she said softly. Sasha raised an eyebrow, her expression turning curiously. You can't? Sasha's voice trembled as she continued. I mean, I can't just... They wouldn't let me! They never let me! Sasha's eyes narrowed slightly. They who? Dahlia shook her head, avoiding the gaze. Sasha sighed and reached into her pocket, pulling out a cigarette. She lit with a flick of her lighter, taking a long drag before blowing the smoke into the air. She studied Dahlia carefully, the faint tension in her shoulders betraying her curiosity. Actually, Sasha said for a moment, I don't want to know. Different question. Are they here? Dahlia looked up at her confused. Huh? Whoever they are, Sasha clarified. Are they here in this academy? Yes or no? Dahlia hesitated, then shook her head. Well, no. Good. Sasha took another drag of her cigarette. Then change your deck. Consider that your first bit of homework due tomorrow. Well, when you walk back into my classroom, I want to see you with a totally different deck. I will pit you up against a fellow student, and when I see you duel, I better see a deck that's more in tune with you. Because this, she gestured at Dahlia's duel pad as if pointing at her to her deck, is not acceptable. I think we both know that, Dahlia. Dahlia stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. I never got to do something like this for myself before, she admitted quietly. Well, Sasha said with a faint smirk, exhausting the cigarette against the heel of her boot. It starts now. Follow me. Without waiting for a response, Sasha turned and began walking towards the main building. Dahlia scrambled to her feet, brushing herself off again, before hurrying after her. The sound of applause echoed faintly behind them as more duels started. Sasha led Dahlia off campus and into a quiet side street with a small card shop set nestled between two larger buildings. The sign of the door creaked in the wind, but the interior was warm and inviting, the shelves lined with colorful booster packs and singles. Dahlia stopped in the doorway, looking in awe. What are we doing here? She asked. Sasha didn't respond immediately. Instead, she typed something into her dual pad with swift precision. Dahlia glanced at her curiously, unsure of what was happening. Professor Knight, Dahlia started. Sasha. Call me Sasha. Professor's just... too formal. And, is anything about me formal? And about you, for that matter? Sasha asked, raising her eyebrow. I guess not. Well, Sasha, what do you do? Dahlia's dual pad let out a notification sound. She opened it, her eyes wide as she read the message. 1,000 quid! She exclaimed. Sasha, what's a quid? I'm not British. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. There, Sasha said, cutting Dahlia off. There's your budget to make your new deck. Don't let cash limit you. Your desire should be your only limit. Go nuts. Without another word, Dahlia turned toward the shelves, her eyes scanning rows of cards with a mixture of excitement and giddiness. Sasha waited for a moment before stepping aside. Standing on the sidewalk, Sasha pulled another cigarette and lit it, leaning against the wall of the shop. She opened her wallet and pulled out a photograph tucked in its folds. The edges worn and the image of it slightly faded. It was a picture of Sasha with another woman. Their smiles bright and carefree. Oh, Mia. Sasha muttered under her breath, her eyes lingering on the photo. She took another drag of her cigarette, the smoke curling around her in the quiet evening. What did your niece get herself into? And more importantly, what is your sister doing here? So she knew the entire time. She needed to know because she just looked at her and the similarities were enough, I guess. I sure hope... This woman's... I swear to God, I'm calling it now. Sasha is not dying because she loses the duel. She's dying in the series because she got frickin' smoker's cough lung. Black lung. That's just a jokey theory, but, she's had like 4 cigarettes in the span of a day. I know there's an addiction when it's done to relieve stress, but come on, girl. Self-control. I did it to look cool. Yeah? Well, your lungs don't care how cool you look. Sorry. But overall, I think Sasha was a very good teacher in the fact that even though she's more of the I don't care about you or anything about you mentality, she actually does. It's that old chestnut of like, I don't care about you, but secretly does. I mean, at the end of the day, she is a student. Dahlia is a new student. She has to care for her students in some regard. If she really hated her job truly, she wouldn't be a teacher. There are 1,000 other jobs you could take instead. And let's be honest, teachers don't pay very well. They pay enough to get by. We'll just leave it at that. So if she has to truly care at the end of the day. Of course, there's a fictional universe, the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, all the extra bells and whistles. But, yeah. The biggest surprise of all this is how the heck Joey Wheeler afforded all this Academy thing. But, you know, I think it was established earlier on that he won the lottery. Which, of course he won the lottery. He's Joey Wheeler. He's the master of luck. He would always win the Powerball. Every time. They'd have to cancel the Powerball, or at least ban Joey Wheeler for repeating it, just so everyone else had a turn. Oy. But this was one heck of a good chapter. I'm sorry that my reading was terrible. I apologize profusely. I wanted to give you a blind reading of this, so I didn't really practice ahead of time. Clearly this came back to bite me. But again, please wait for Spooky Electronics' official release. And I guess we can take a look at the cover now. This is clearly meant to be Sasha. The redhead is Azrael. We got Blake here in the corner, obviously. Dahlia is obviously here, and this is Jesse Wheeler. We don't have the blind guy. He's the only one missing from this. But you guess you gotta cut someone from it. And we also don't have Elena. But I imagine they'll be in Chapter 3 to some regard when they're relevant. Overall, I think this is a very good, well-written chapter of Spooky. I think you did an excellent job. I made snarky comments here or there, but overall, you did an excellent job keeping the tone in check while cracking a joke here or there, because that's always important to have, you know? We don't... You want to keep things serious, of course, but make sure to have a joke here or there, you know? I brought up Attack on Titan earlier, but this is a spoiler for what happens at the end of the arc, because at the end of the series, you have to skip 5 seconds ahead now. The potato girl dies. So when the comic relief is gone, I have no reason to watch a bunch of assholes being depressing. So why would I keep watching? Heck, I barely kept on during the first season. It's like, oh boy, I get to be depressed again. Just what I want. You don't want that. That's kind of what the revelations become. Here's a whole bunch of depression, everyone. Aren't you happy we killed off Carlos? I mean, that was due to some real life thing. It's also like, you can't have someone else crack a joke here or there. Just, and maybe it kind of like, yeah, Valator took over everything. He even took over McDonald's. I didn't know that was possible. I thought they were untouchable. Or like, Valator has done the impossible. He made a decent Disney movie. Even I didn't expect that. I don't know. Something. But Spooky here did a good job making sure everything was in track. And all the characters felt good and like real people overall. It feels like real people in a Yu-Gi-Oh world rather than cardboard cutouts. Like, you always gotta have that chipper character and sometimes a bit of a goof like Azrael is. Like, he can't take the hint sometimes, but he means well. It's coming from a good place. You can tell he's not just, I'm happy, and that's my entire character. No, there's some melancholy in there. Like, he almost like he has a feeling of like, I want to do good in the world. I don't want to hurt people. That would be the worst thing that could ever happen. Like, you know, you want to make sure you put a smile on people's faces. But unfortunately, Blake is that kryptonite. We're just like, I don't even know what the word smile means. Enjoy Chojura, more like dead. Blake, we've proven that Blake can have a bit of a crack, but, you know, overall, it's no nonsense. We know a lot about Blake and Dahlia, of course, from Era of Dueling and what there was in Chapter 1 of Resurge, and not to mention all the other supplemental material, but yeah. Dahlia is stuck playing a deck she doesn't want to use, and this one's playing better than Era of Dueling, where it's like, I want to change decks. Why? What's wrong with this deck? Shut up. But this one was like, she's forced to use this deck. I think this, I don't know if it's a spoiler. I'm not going to say it, what it is, because I don't want to be spoiling it, but let's just say it wasn't her choice to play this deck, it was someone else's suggestion, and I think that was kind of obvious from the story, so that's not really a spoiler after all. Jesse is perfect. He is the perfect level, just like, hey, we're just here to have fun, but also be serious. He can turn off and on the, you know, machismo thing. It's sort of like Azrael, but he knows how to turn it off more and be serious and right to the point, which is always good. And Sasha is a great teacher, again, like I said. She is the I don't care about anything, but I secretly love you all sort of thing, I guess you could say. And, yeah, the overall story was well done. I think that was a great second chapter. I was going to say first chapter, but this is technically chapter 2. Chapter 1 is, of course, still on Spooky's channel, and I don't think will be deleted anytime soon, but that is up to Spooky's decision at the end of the day. And, yeah, everyone felt real. Elena felt like a nice, chipper person, but also curious and realizing that Azrael would be a ticket to information and wanted to use him to his advantage. And the blind guy was kind of nice. You know, we didn't get much of him, but it's good to have that person that's just like, look, I'm going to ground you out. I'm not going to give you depression. Like, he is the middle ground between Azrael and Blake. He's like, hey, we can be chipper, but let's calm it down again. We can be at an 8 or a 7. Let's not go at 10 24/7. And let's not be at 0 24/7. Come on. Learn to live a little. I mean, I kind of want to see that interaction. Just the blind guy and the Blake, of course. Which we may get in Chapter 3. I have no idea at this time, of course. That is up to Spooky's, and only Spooky knows for sure, and maybe Dusan, but that's another story entirely. But anyway, yeah. Excellent work, Doogie. The dual scripting was well done, too. I like the archetypes with the... You made gladiator beasts. I just want to point that out. You made football gladiator beasts. You talk about gladiator beasts being a terrible deck, and then you go ahead and make them. Okay, to be fair, Spooky never said the deck was terrible. He just said that, like, they're not used in Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. But, I don't know. I mean, you could say that's better gladiator beasts. You have absolutely the right to that opinion. I am just saying, you made gladiator beasts. But to be fair, there's only so many gimmicks that archetypes can have. Let's be real here. Anytime Konami comes up with a new gimmick for an archetype, I'm just like, how are you still inventing new stuff for this? Like, you'd think they've done it all by now, but no, they put out a new one, and granted that new thing might not always be great, and it might actually break the game in some regards, but it's something new every time, so I gotta give them credit for that. So, yeah. So I think this is actually a job of Dahlia getting her ass absolutely handed to her. Just, she doesn't know how to play her deck, and that's obvious as night and day. It's just, this difference of skill is obvious. And I like how Sasha knew everything about Dahlia. Second, Dahlia's like, what does this do? I imagine she faced it a few times before. I mean, I think it's an in-archetype meta deck or something like that, or at least a high-power deck, something like that. Then again, I can tell you everything about Sky Strikers. I haven't touched them once, but I can tell you literally every single thing they do. They summon Sky Striker Ray. They activate Widowmaker. They're done. No, there's more to it than that, but, you know. Anyway, I think this is excellently done by Speak Electronics. I apologize that my reading was atrocious, but again, please check out Spooky's own channel, and I will link both of the reading, both their, I will link both of Spooky's YouTube channel, just so you can check out Chapter 1 in your own time, and this archive your own forum thing here in the description below. So, thank you all for watching. I'm sorry that my reading was atrocious, but I hope you all have a good day and a better tomorrow. So until next time, later!